You know, we've all made sacrifices in our lives. We've saved our money, we've invested it, we've believed in a bright retirement, and our moms and dads told us, you know, someday you're going to be happy that you didn't spend this money today and you saved it up. And today's video is about 5 reasons to retire as soon as you can, right? You've won. Now it's time to reach out, grab that brass ring, and take the prize. But unfortunately, after 30 or 40 years of working, for many of us, it just becomes super comfortable to continue to work. And if you look at it, less than 1% of Americans retire between 50 and 55. Now, once you get to 55, the numbers start increasing pretty quickly. But I want folks to think about the reasons to retire as soon as you can, because if you're 50, you know, maybe you wait till you're 55, maybe you don't. If you're 60, maybe you wait till you're 65, maybe you don't. But here's the case to retire as soon as you can. Okay, so number 1 is your health. I've said it before, but I think it bears repeating. If you're 60 years old, you likely have less than 1,000 weeks of healthy, active time remaining. And that's not a lot of time for any of us, right? Particularly given how long that we've worked and we've sacrificed in order to be able to retire early. I just want you to take advantage of that. You know, often people will say, you know, hey, Azul, actually my job's not that stressful and I kind of like it. And I get that. I love my job. I understand if you love your job. But you know, my job's not stressful. You know, I feel that way, but the reality is my job is stressful. And I think a lot of folks, we've been doing this for so long that it's kind of the frog in the boiling water. We don't realize how much stress that we're under. And I've been a financial advisor for over 20 years now. And I've talked to hundreds of families, and I've talked to them a year after they retire. And even folks that told me, I really don't have that stressful of a job, will come back later and say, you know what, I didn't realize how much stress I was under. Another thing is, you know, most of us are busy. We don't have time to take care of ourselves the way we probably should be. And so by retiring, you give yourself more time to make sure you go to the gym, more time to cook a healthy meal as opposed to eating out. So time is an ally, and time is a friend of your health. Okay, number 2, the second reason, gets back to time. You know, we all have a limited amount of time, and there's always ways to make more money. But you know what? As hard as I've tried, I've never found a way to make more time. So just be really cautious. It's easy to fall into the 3 most dangerous words for new retirees or potential retirees, which is just one more year. You know, you sit down, you talk to your company to figure out a game plan for when you retire, and they say, hey, you know what? We'd really like you to stick around an extra year to help with the transition. And that's great. I get that. And you know, depending on your position, you know, a year might be the right amount of time to give somebody a transition. I just want you to be careful that it's really easy to say just one more year, and all of a sudden your early retirement at 55, you know, you do that 7 or 8 times, and yeah, you're still retiring a little bit early, but not as early as you had initially planned. So just be careful with just one more year. In fact, in my industry, there's kind of a joke. You know, one more year actually saves you 3 years on your plan. 1 year because you're still putting money into your plan. Another year because it's one less year you have to take money out. And then this is said kind of tongue in cheek, but one less year because of the extra stress, you're gonna die a year early. I hope that doesn't happen to you. But that's what the kind of tongue in cheek joke in my industry is. Okay, another one that's built on time. Believe it or not, relationships. And we all know how they're tied, right? People spell love. Love is a 4-letter word, and it's spelled T-I-M-E. So whether that's, you know, your spouse that you want to get closer to and you want to spend more time with, or maybe that's an aging parent, that you know doesn't have a lot of time left, and you'd like to be able to spend whatever time that is with them. Maybe it's adult children or grandkids that you want to spend time with them and build on the relationship. And related to that, one thing I want to share is you do want to be careful, because getting back to the one more year and how it ties into relationships, often if you have a partner in life, often the two partners are talking and they have their dreams of things that they'd like to do someday. If you've had kids, you've sacrificed while your kids were young and raising your kids, and you said, well, someday we're going to be able to do this, and someday we're going to be able to do that. And you want to be careful, because I have seen where one spouse, has a stroke or has a heart attack, and they can no longer do the things that they were dreaming about, and that the two spouses, talked about really looking forward to and wanting to enjoy it. And if you have a health issue, oftentimes the other spouse, your other partner, is the one that is helping you through that. And if you have a stroke, that could be a lifelong disability. And the last thing you want is the spouse that's taking care of you to resent the fact that when you could have retired, you didn't. Therefore, the two of you never got to do those dreams together, right? It's bad enough if you're dealing with a health issue, but you don't want that to strain the relationship, and you certainly don't want it to cause resentment. Okay, number 4 reason to retire as soon as you can is it gives you time, as I was saying earlier, to pursue your dreams, to pursue adventures, to find new hobbies and a new purpose in life that would give you a new and exciting chapter in your life. And oftentimes what happens is people are hesitant to retire because they're comfortable where they're currently at, and they don't want to leave the comfort of their current setup, something that they've been doing for 20, 30, 40 years, whether it's in different careers. Still, you're probably, working 9 to 5, 5 days a week. You have a routine, and you've probably gotten very good at what you're doing. And so it's this transition that people are concerned with. But once you make that transition, once you're on the other side, it really gives you a lot of freedom for that next chapter of your life. And oftentimes people come back and say, I wish I had done that transition earlier. So I want you to benefit from their experiences that they've shared with me, and now I'm passing on to you. And the 5th reason to retire as soon as you can, or retire sooner, is you're probably closer to being able to retire than what you think. The dirty secret in my industry is the 4% rule is based on very conservative numbers, right? As a financial advisor that has a fiduciary obligation to my clients, now this is not financial advice, I don't know your situation, but I can share with you, when I'm doing this professionally for somebody and I do know their numbers and I do know their situation, I want them to have a very, very high chance of succeeding, right? 90%, 95%, 97%. And we talk about it and say, what's the right likelihood of success for you? But for a lot of folks, to go from an 80% likelihood of success to 97%, for most people is going to be 2, 3, 4, 5 years of saving and letting that money grow and not being in retirement. But some people might look at that 80% and say, you know what, that's good enough for me. And if something happens, if I get bit by what's called sequence of return risk, having poor returns in the early years, I know how to adjust. I know how to make changes. I'm willing to make those sacrifices. I'm willing to cut back. So financial advising is both quantitative, numbers and some science behind it, but it's also qualitative. What's the right number for you? And if you're watching videos like this, you're probably a lot closer to being able to retire than what you think. And I really urge you to work with a fee-only financial advisor to put together a plan that incorporates your risk tolerance, your goals, how much money you've been able to save, what a good retirement looks like to you. And I think you'll be surprised that you're closer than you think you are. And so if you enjoyed the secrets that I shared with you today, here's another video on secrets. It's the secrets that early retirees know that people that don't get to retire early, maybe they didn't know, and they would have been more likely to be able to retire early if they knew these secrets. So watch that video next. Thanks. Bye-bye.